Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's the year been?
It's been a fun year, and you don't know how each season's going to turn out, but I've appreciated a ton what this group of players and coaches have done, and the journey of every season's kind of the fun part, and for them to do all they've done and earn the right to play here, this group means a lot to me.
I was talking to some of the guys about their last kind of go around and making sure they finish well. You've been around a lot of senior classes. What makes this group maybe unique if it's been as enjoyable as
I think that every senior group has its has a personality, right? It's made up of the players, and this particular group, really our senior class is not a big class, but it's been led by some guys that I think have truly made the most of this season. I think the group of leaders that we've had, and certainly seniors, and we've got juniors in this that are true leaders of this team, and I think what I've appreciated the most is our leaders, our best players, are as unselfish as any group I've been around.
I talked to a couple of them and said, what do you think about the Pac-12 prior to watching film, and then what do you think about it now after watching Oregon? They said they're totally different. How did you describe Oregon to your team when the matchup was announced?
Well, I think that when the matchup was first announced, you're on the road recruiting, and so when you get a chance to study them and watch them, it didn't take long to see that they're a really good football team, and offensively, defensively, special teams, it shows up, and I think any good team, which they are, is made up. You've got some obviously led by really good players, but you just take a look at them. They're physical, they play fast. They're well coached. They know what they're doing, and they cut it loose. And so it's, our guys saw that quickly in watching the film, and I think we've had good preparation. We need to have good preparation because this is a really good football team.
Lastly, Jonathan, what's allowed him to be so consistently dynamic in all of his runs, whether it looks boring and all of a sudden it's 60-yard runs?
I think, when you ask what makes Jonathan his performances, and the consistency in that. And I think it goes to the consistency of his approach and the work that he puts in every day. And I think that leads to the consistency on the field. And certainly he's talented, but he is an unbelievable worker. And he's one that I was talking about before, a great teammate. But he is always has a purpose and going to find a way to get better.
Coach, do you have any specific memories of previous games against Oregon, like from your time at Oregon State?
Yeah, certainly. When I was at Oregon State, it was a big game, right? And so you do have memories, some good, some not so good. And
What was the best one?
well, I know that the one game we played, it was in Mike's second year, and we had a triple overtime game. That was a big game, especially where we were at in the program, and that was a good memory.
Paul, your time at West Virginia, how did that influence how you approach football, how you view the game, how you approach players, or how you approach anything personally?
Well, I felt really fortunate getting the opportunity to, that was my first job, and Coach Nealon was unbelievably great to me, and that staff, was a veteran staff, and so was able to really be around and learn the profession, and I didn't know. I've been around it, and my dad coached, and I played college football, but this is the first time where I was approaching it as a coach, and it was a great experience.
Now, how did you and Coach Herring meet?
I met Coach Herring when he was a player there. In my first year as a graduate assistant, he was playing on the team there, and had a lot of respect and appreciation for how he played the game, and then when you get to know him, who he is as a person, and have felt really fortunate to be able to coach with him the last however many years it's been, 8 years, I think.
What most impressed you about him, not only as a coach but as a person?
Well, I think, he's extremely detailed, cares a ton about the players, and, as a person, he's as good as there is.
Coach, philosophically, you guys have been pretty steady for the last 15, 20 years in terms of the approach to the game. Oregon's identity went from Chip Kelly and a blown offense to Mario Cristobal and wanting to power the ball the way that you guys do. I mean, has there been a program like theirs that has had an identity shift so drastic over the past few years?
Well, I don't know. I haven't studied every program and don't know. Certainly, in preparing for this game and watching their team, you have a lot of respect for how they play the game. And, I think teams can do it in a lot of different ways, but, the fundamentals you see on film, and you see obviously a talented football team, but a very well-coached team. And they're a physical team, defensively, offensively, special teams. You see that, and I think that's something that doesn't just happen. It's obviously emphasized, and they're putting it on tape.
Coach, there's been a lot of talk about maybe the Rose Bowl isn't as special because of the college football playoffs. As someone who grew up in Madison and played for the Badgers, would you disagree with that now being here in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to come here this year to be able to say, boy, I've known what the Rose Bowl is. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of it, and it's there's a reason why all of our players were truly excited about the opportunity, and they call it the granddaddy of them all, and I think it's fitting. It's all the bowl games we've been able to go to, you appreciate, and they're great experiences, and yet this one is special, and it's you're going to face a great team. It's in maybe one of the best, if not the best, settings in all of football, nonetheless college football. And when we found out we had an opportunity to play in it, I was really excited for our players, because it's a heck of an experience. And now it's our job coming up here where we got to make the most of that.
Paul, when you took the job at Pittsburgh, what motivated you to appoint Chryst as an assistant, even though you hadn't been coaching together for a couple decades?
Well, I'd known enough about Chris and that he's a heck of a football coach, and I always had the vision and the desire that if I ever got an opportunity to be a head coach, I wanted to do it with good guys who I knew were really good football coaches, and he certainly fit that billing and then some.
How has your approach to the game grown as a result of having him as an assistant or as a friend?
Well, I think that you're always affected by people that you work with or players you coach, and you're always learning. And I think they challenge you in good ways. You see what they do, and you pick something up or it reinforces it. And he's a guy that's all in. And when you have that, there's a lot to learn from.
Coach, they talk a lot about being more physical, and I think that kind of runs counter to the image of the Pac-12 over the years. You know the Pac-12. Are they different? Do you see a difference between them and the average Pac-12 team in that department?
It's I do see their physicality on film. In preparing for this game, it's so much less about trying to compare the other schools. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to comment about the rest of the Pac-12, but I can say with confidence that when you watch Oregon this year, they are a physical football team.
And you guys are too, which makes it interesting in that aspect.
Yeah, and that's kind of the game of football, right? And we know that doesn't just happen, right? You don't put on the helmet and all of a sudden you're physical, right? You got to go out and every play, you got to do that. And I think a big part of being physical is knowing what you're doing, knowing how to do it, and then players trusting it to where they can kind of cut it loose and play that. And that, to me, when I say, Oregon is a well-coached team, I think their players know what they're doing, and they play with good technique, and then they play fast. They cut it loose, and I think that's how you then play physical.
Can you coach that, or do you
Absolutely.
have to recruit players like that?
Well, I think you have to, players have to want to do all the things, but I think that's truly a sign of coaching and good coaching. If you play with lower pad level than the guy you're going up against, it's easier to get movement. If you play, so the technique and the knowledge, if you know what to do, you'll play. If you hesitate, it's hard to play as physical as possible. But when you know what you're doing and know how to do it and trust that, then I think you allow yourself to play physical. So I think coaching has a big part to do with it, and guys that value that, right? And that's in the recruiting part or who the person is.
Well, one of the really unique parts about the ball experience is just the mix of business and pleasure. How important is that for you as a coach in finding that right balance for these guys?
I think it's real important for the players to be able to balance just what you're saying, and that's enjoying the experience. And we've got a lot of guys this year that have never been to California, haven't ever been to Disney, have not, you can go down the list, right? And you want them to experience that. And then we got the opportunity to play another game, and you want to be as prepared for that game as possible. And our guys have done a really good job of balancing that. And you know what? They have to balance it all year long. They're balancing school, they're balancing football, they're balancing, their personal life. So it's not like they're not used to doing that. And I think our guys also realize, there comes a point where it's less about the bowl experience and more about making sure you're kind of honing in and in the preparation for the game itself. But I think that I think it's important to make sure that they have a good experience, and both those are in what the bowl offers and in playing the game. And to play the game your best, you got to prepare for it. And this group's done a good job.
How about for you in particular? Do you allow yourself to kind of get away from the game planning and all that and have a little bit of fun out here too?
Yeah, you try to do that. It's a lot of what we do. You normally don't have this long to prepare for a game, so a lot of the work can be done before us, so you can take some moments and enjoy being with your family or at something with the players. Absolutely, I think everyone's got an opportunity to. It's different. It's different than a normal game week, certainly.
I wanted to ask you about Chris and Zach. How have you watched their relationship grow, and why do you feel like maybe that relationship has helped them so much on the field?
Well, I think that both have truly grown, and each one of their stories is different, but they've kind of grown up together through this program, right? And both have had a huge impact on this team, not just on the field, off the field, and I think their relationship has grown, and all of their relationships, because they invest in it. They invest a ton of energy and time into their teammates.
And how about also for Jonathan too, just to understand the magnitude of this moment, how he's carried himself this entire season?
Yeah, you think about it, JT's, he came on the scene and introduced himself quickly, and from that point, they've all been big moments, and a lot has fallen on him. Everyone's looking for him to be what he's been, and that's, my opinion, the best back in college football. And he's handled it tremendously. And I think what helps him handling it is that, like all of our leaders, what matters most is this team. And he will do anything and everything for this team. And it's not just about him. And yet he does everything he can to make sure that he's as prepared, and he's always working, always looking to find a way to get better. But what matters most is this team, and I think that's what I've appreciated from this group is our leaders, our best players, are the team is really important to them, and it's the most unselfish group I've been around.
I know that he said he's not ready to make a decision about his next decision, that being whether or not he
Right.
goes pro. But if he does decide to take that next jump to the NFL, what have you appreciated and loved so much about coaching?
It doesn't matter what happens, and that's an example of he is not going to let anything rob this team and himself of this moment. And I think that, what you appreciate from all your players, and you specifically asked about JT, is it's just that he is going to do everything he can to be the best that he can, and the reason is certainly it's there's every player wants to be the best they can be, but it's truly for this team, and what he's done on the field has been as good as there is, and yet how he's done it, how he's gone about it, and we're lucky, right? We get to be with him every day. That's even more impressive, and it's not necessarily you can, for us to talk about and all that, but just being around him every day and how he's approached it, it's that's been the best thing. He's given a gift to everyone that way.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Coach, how are you feeling in preparation for this big game? Because I know that the players they'll get butterflies, but let's talk about the coach. How will you sleep the night before?
I'm doing well with it, right? First of all, and you appreciate the opportunity to be preparing. And I've always thought this, especially when you like a team, to get another opportunity to play with this team. I've loved it, and one of the things I've really appreciated from our coaches, I think, as we should, but put in a ton of time, making sure that we do have a good plan for our players, and our players have done a great job of taking that plan and knowing it, and then you get it ready and you get the opportunity to go play, and for this group to play in a great game. And I've always been I've been able to sleep every night, and don't anticipate that being any different. It's not to say that just probably different type of nerves or anxiety or excitement, anticipation, probably that a coach has than a player, but you want to see it through, and you want to make sure that your kids are as prepared as possible, and yet I think I've been lucky, and the players I've been around, the work done, they give you a good feeling, as the preparation goes and it gets closer to game time. When they're ready to play. You don't know how the game's going to turn out, but they're ready to go, and I think that's always, as a coach, I've appreciated that, because it makes you sleep better.
As a leader, you have to instill that confidence and leadership to your players. How do you see that happening here at the Rose Bowl? Do you see any difference in your players? Do you see a more excited zeal in the players?
I don't see a different. I mean, certainly there's some experiences that are new, and that brings out a different type of an experience or an emotion or whatnot. But I think what I like about this team is they're kind of staying true to what their personalities are and who this team is, and I've liked how they've gone about the preparation, and we got to finish that up. But I like where we're at right now.
As far as what is it going to take to come out victorious, and with a win, what would that do for your program?
I think the first part, what you need to do to win this game, it comes down to playing good football, right? And it's going to take everybody. It's going to take offense, defense, special teams. It's going to take, the players that, we've known about and have been really important and made big plays. And it's going to take players that have another role, kind of we don't know. You don't know who's that. You don't know if you're going to be in for 80 plays. You're going to be in for 8 plays, right? I do know that it takes everyone, and you know what it means. I think that this game it's about this team and this year, and what it means to the program. I think less about that and more about what it means for this team.
What would you say to all your friends and family in preparation for this game?
Well, I think for all of our fans, you appreciate their support, and we'll have a number of fans that, I mean, it takes a lot to come out, and we'll have a number of them here, and you appreciate that. There's a sacrifice. There's something there, and you appreciate. It means something to all of us, and yet you also know that there's true fans that are supporting you, but they couldn't come out, but you still appreciate knowing that, and the family and those that are close to our players. It's been a long journey, way before they started at Wisconsin, and that's, I think, what's fun to see. Our players and those families get to have these experiences because it's taken a lot of people. So you appreciate them all.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. Hey,
Hey, buddy.
how you doing?
Happy New Year.
Good to see you.
So, when I was bugging you back in Tampa at the USF game, did you envision one, you'd be back in Pasadena, and two, I'd be bugging again in Pasadena?
No, I think you always, that's the beauty that we get to live, and that's you play out the season, and the season's a journey, and you don't know how it's going to end up, and so I think that's why as a coach you're grateful. At that time I didn't know that we'd earn the right to play another game, and this team earned the right really to play 2 more games, and so you're awful thankful for that, and appreciated all that's gone into this group getting us to this point, and now it's how do you finish it out the best you can.
Looking back at it, was there any one thing specifically that you think flipped the script for you in the second half against Ohio State? Did you guys seem to be in good position in the first half? You score at the end.
Yeah. No, there wasn't one. Certainly a lot of people are going to point to, Chryst not being able to play, and obviously you want to play with all your players, right? And certainly has an impact, but it's a 60-plus minute game, and you have to keep playing. I think you look at that, and there was points in the first half as well as the second where if you're going to win that game, you've got to do certain things, and to their credit, they made some plays, and we didn't make enough. So I think you do really look at it. It wasn't necessarily like a tale of two halves. Yeah, and it wasn't tale of two halves. It wasn't like came in at halftime and the guys relaxed, or it was just you play the game, and it was that's a good football team, and but yeah, I don't think it was one. I think you're going to point to that and would love to have played the game with Chris, but it's football and takes so many. It's always more than one guy. All right. All right.
This might be a little longer question, but I'm just wondering, what can you describe what your protocol is for managing the transfer portal and how you both guys leaving and guys
Right.
coming in?
Certainly it's, the portal itself is relatively new. And I think you still draw on how do you handle people, right, or your players. And it's, on that end of it first, I'm talking about you talk to them and you communicate, and you see you've got an idea where guys are at. And, I think last year we had a couple go in, but the portal was more of a formality than anything, and I think so. In my experiences, and so it's okay. This is where you're at. This way, now, okay, you go in there, and And quite honestly, I think a lot of it is there's a lot of stuff going on way before they get to the portal, and so certainly I'm not an expert at it, and probably continue to learn as you have experiences with it.
Do you have somebody on your staff who monitors it for, like, I mean, if you're looking at a need or?
You do, but I also think you gotta cautious yourself. I don't know if it's a quick fix place, you know what I mean? But yeah, you monitor it and try to see what's going on. So, all right, thanks.